Okay, perfect. So that's us live on everything that we need to be live on. We're going to talk about all the pairs that we're going to trade. And we're going to talk about the dollar and the euro, where it's heading, we think short term, and where we think it's going to be heading long term, and what that looks like on the decisions that we're going to be making based on the trade setups that we're currently looking at for this week and the upcoming weeks. So let's just start off, since we're already here. We're going to start off with a couple of trades that we're actually in. We're in NZD/JPY short, and we're in gold long. Now, if we'll just break down this pair from top to bottom, we'll go back out to the daily. As you can see here, we did have this longer term channel that started way back, or the trend line rather started way back in March. 19th of March 2020, we started the beginning slanted uptrend. Now, when it's at an angle like this, it's much more reliable when you do get touches back down to this area for buyers to step back into the market. And you can see it's not deviated. I know we are on a daily, but it's not deviated too extreme away from the trend line. And then when we hit this low here on the 24th of March, we actually started to create a small channel at the back end of this ascending trend line, this bullish trend line. So now we've seen price action getting squeezed in between these two channels. So if we go down to the 4 hour, start to get a better understanding of what's actually going on, you can see here we've actually pushed down off this resistance through the trend line, which would have acted as support, and then we've come crashing out. And now what's good about this is we've actually respected the break. We've not come back into immediate retest. And now when we do have a retest, we've come back into an area of resistance. Two areas of resistance actually. We have the resistance from the actual resistance zone, and then we actually have the resistance from the retest of the broken bullish trend line. So that's two confluences. We have created lower lows. This technically is retesting the same level, so it's not really a lower high, it's retesting the exact same level. And we do anticipate, with the rounding in off of the price action, you can see it slowly starting to roll over. It's respected this trend line very well, and it's also respected this resistance zone very well. And that for me was enough, if we go down to the hourly, to get in a short position. Now, we had gotten in just here because we've seen price action was really going to be pushing below this little tiny mini support zone, and that was enough confluence for us to see this high here come back in line with this high and create lower, and then now we're starting to finally drop off. Whether that does drop off to our target, which we've got currently set at 76.396, who knows? It could come down to here, it could come down to here, and then, but we're just going to be analysing this trade and making sure that if anything does crop up that lets us know that we might actually have made the wrong decision here, we will be looking to either exit that trade or move our stop loss accordingly. So let's quickly go over to gold before we go into the watch list. You can see gold is it's moving quite sideways, but again, we're going to break this pair down from the very top to the bottom. So this is currently what we were looking at on gold. We had this ascending channel, which was getting narrower and narrower as the days went on. Then we eventually did have that little stall period for a good few days, 3-4 days, and then we had that big bearish momentum candle that actually broke through the support of the bottom trend line of the channel. Then we came back up, we created like a double top, and then we tanked through the nearest support zone, which was at the bottom of these two daily lows on the 3rd and the 4th of June. We crashed right through that, and then we found support back where the pattern originally started. And then once we had done that, we're slowly consolidating. Now, we did anticipate price action to push back up and then maybe roll over back down to the bottom trend line, because it is a very prominent area of support. So now we are anticipating that price action will make its way back up. Now, whether that does or not, we're going to be monitoring the trade and making sure that we are analysing every single part of the situation to know that if it does turn against us, we're not going to lose our full 2%. We'll try our very best to mitigate that risk and make sure that we're leaving no wasted money on the table. So that's what we're looking at for gold and NZD/JPY. We're going to continue to hold them, but right now I want to go and talk about US dollar CAD, because right now I feel like we are going to get some bullish momentum that will break through this channel. Now, if we go to the dollar index is going to show you, for me anyway, quite good telltale signs that we are going to reach 93.327. But just to bear in mind the fundamentals, by looking on sites like Bloomberg and listening to Fed Powell speeches and analysing the main headlines, the US government and the US committee are thinking that the market has overextended by quite a bit in a bullish manner, and they reckon that they're going to have to introduce some form of tapering in the economy, which would of course be negative for the dollar. Now, how long that will take to roll out, nobody really knows. My guess would be that we as technical traders and we as people who are trading the markets would take this dollar price and we will push that further back up to the original starting point of the bearish trend, which is roughly, as you can see in red, 93.327. And then I do think we will start to get some more sellers back into the market, combined with the technical side of it and of course the fundamental side of it. And then once that does happen, then we could start to reassess and look for sell positions. Then we take what we know from the dollar index, we take what we know from the technical and fundamental standpoints, then we incorporate that into the pairs that we're going to be trading. So for us, US dollar CAD. So bearing in mind that we see this right now, we do anticipate that little short burst back up. If we were to be smart here, we would take price now, take a price range, and you can see here that this is quite a significant way to go. You've got 1,497 pips, which is absolutely great. So if we go to the US dollar CAD position, and we can see this now, one thing we could do to get a rough estimate is if we take price from here right now, and it was 1,400, as you can see here, we have, if this was to come into fruition and the dollar index was to reach those highs before then coming back down and acknowledging the fundamentals and calculating that in, pricing that in, we could be very, very fortunate to get a good few setups just on this pair alone. So say about 1,400. So as you can see here, plenty room. And this is just one little way to get a rough guesstimate of where price action could be going based on probabilities, and then also how far could it be going based on, you know, checking things like the dollar index, making sure that there aren't any massive headlines that could cause us some big short-term problems that will take us out of trade that we maybe were planning to hold a little bit longer term. So there's all these different factors that we need to be aware of, and you can see price action is rounded off at the bottom here. We've started to push up. We've created that higher high. Looks like we're going to create a higher low on support, and I do anticipate a break through this, and I would be looking to enter very, very soon, just based on those confluences. So we'll have a confluence of the technical analysis on the dollar index. We have technical analysis on US dollar CAD that's shown us strong signs. The fundamental analysis short term is showing us good signs. So we do have a lot of confluences to get long in this position, at least until the fundamental news or the fundamental factors that play in the market start to take grips on the price action and maybe introduce quite a few sellers. So that's what we are looking for in US dollar CAD. I'm not going to go through NZD/USD or Aussie/USD because we have already, sorry, I won't go through NZD/USD, we'll go through Aussie/USD because we're already in NZD/JPY and it's sort of a similar setup. But as you can see here, we actually did plan this trade out. We had that shooting star candle on the daily. So it's definitely a trade that we will be looking to enter. We did have that ascending wedge into an area of resistance, into a downward trend line, but we have sort of consolidated out of it. The only thing that would really, because normally I would like to see price move from an area like this because it shows a lot more strength, but because if you look on the daily, we do see that strong shooting star candle that we closed on Friday with. We know that a lot of other traders are going to be looking at this sort of price action and they're going to be thinking the same things. It's just whether can we manage to really push that down, because you can see we've got that shooting star candle on Friday. Technically got a shooting star candle formation. I'd like to see a bigger wick on that slightly, but these are good indications that we might actually roll back over and go down and retest the lows at 0.74761, and that would give us correlation, direct correlation to the dollar index being strong, because again, if the dollar index is strong, then if the dollar is the second pair in the currency, it's going to drive that price action down, bearing in mind, of course, what's happening with the first pair. Like, is the Aussie strong? Is the Aussie weak? How strong or weak is it? Is it going to be battling against the dollar heavily, or is it just going to roll over because the dollar's been particularly strong? These are all different things that we need to look at. So Aussie US dollar, I would actually be looking to enter very soon. I would need a better entry signal on the hourly time frame for that though. So we're going to quickly blast through the watch list. So we have GBP Aussie, which isn't really doing much anymore, to be honest, so I'm not really too interested in that. I'm going to take that off the watch list. Silver, again, we're dominantly bearish. We're sort of finding some static at this price action, play a little bit on that. We might actually get a retracement halfway up and then a sell position back down into the lows again. But again, right now it needs a little bit more development. 𝗙𝗍 not too much exciting here. We were actually going to be trying to get in a buy position on the break of this trend line from the support zone, as it was, you know, technically a push phase, pull back into a region like this, which was, if I was to eyeball it, the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement of this initial push phase up from the bottom of these lows to the top of these highs, and then we have came back to retest these highs roughly at 0.74703, 0.74700 or 0.74800. So that's typically what we're looking for in 𝗙𝗍𝗹𝗃. We might actually look to get a sell position back down, but right now a little bit more development needed. Now again, 𝗙/JPY could be very interesting because we had actually broken out this really long-term channel. We've come back down and we came in to retest against support. So this is one of the good reasons why, if price action does break out of a long-term zone that you've drawn in, a long-term channel, make sure that you do keep the trend lines on, because they could offer you a significant entry. So for right now, we do have a significant entry. We're getting spikes to the top here on the daily, and it's at a very, very key area. So now what I think would happen would be, price is going to consolidate there, it's going to gather up, and then we're going to see that push back down perhaps to the bottom of these lows, or we might actually come down to the bottom of the channel around about the 88 handle, 𝗙𝗹𝗋 just depends. So definitely I think I'm going to move this to the green list to say ready to enter. Euro CHF. Again, the euro has been booming right now. Everybody has been spending money in Europe, so the economy is really booming in Europe right now. There is news of a Delta variant that could put Europe back in lockdown again, so we're going to have to be watching on that again. We've seen that on Bloomberg. You'll be able to go in and get the full breakdown and the full story from that. So right now we are going to be waiting to see what price action does when we get around this area. So nothing too exciting for Euro CHF right now. NZD CHF. Because we are typically in a New Zealand pair already, and we're going to miss this one out. It doesn't really look like it's doing too much movement, nothing too exciting. Euro JPY. Euro JPY is interesting because we actually look like we could be getting in a sell position. So let me just go down to the hourly here, because the euro is booming, but also the yen is actually getting quite strong. So I would actually be happy also to have a look at taking a position on this. Even though the euro economy is booming, the yen is going to have a big impact on this. How strong is the yen right now? Will it be able to push price action down? That is the question. So that's what we're going to be looking for on Euro JPY, is that obviously short position back down. Euro USD. Again, Euro USD, with the dollar being strong, this may actually roll us back over down to 1.17500, which is a big weekly level. Maybe we do sort of push back up into this trend line that we've now broken back on the other side of, use it as resistance, and then come back down. But right now, for me, we are seeing a lot of wicks to the upside. It is showing that sellers are taking control of the market, but for me, there is a little bit more development needed before we actually do decide to enter a trade. So let's go to cable, GBP USD. Again, a little bit messy, a little bit choppy. All the analysis has been drawn perfectly, but price action seems to be chopping in and out and not really giving us any clear-cut decision-making capabilities on setups. So for me, I'm going to leave cable for now. It's still going to be staying on the watch list, but I'm not going to be looking to act on it just now. Euro GBP. Again, a little bit choppy. We could actually get a nice little buy setup if we do on the daily. After today, close quite firmly up, and then we go down to the lower time frames, the 4 hour and the 1 hour, and we'll try and piece in other things, other confluences. We wouldn't just take this daily candle, seeing that it tried to break the lows of the previous daily candle on Friday, come halfway up, and then just decide, okay, that's good enough for a buy. No, it doesn't work like that. We need to take into consideration the fundamentals. We also need to piece together a little bit more technical to see, is this a trade that is worthwhile taking, or have I jumped the gun a little bit? Have I got a little bit excited because we are looking at one and not multiple deciding factors of getting in a trade? And then, of course, Bitcoin is a really interesting one. I do think now would be a good time to get in Bitcoin, to be honest. And it would just literally be something like this, because we have not really exceeded the highs of, you know, say 64375.33 of thereabouts. We're technically creating new structure all the time, because there never really was structure on Bitcoin. Now we're starting to see structure. We're able to add a little bit more of a technical mindset and a technical approach, and I'm pretty sure everybody else that trades Bitcoin will be able to add a technical approach, and the more people that are adding a technical approach, to Bitcoin, the more structure and the more tradable moves we will get. And it is looking really interesting. Before it was a little bit hit and a miss, it was a little bit of a guess. Now we're able to stack a little bit more confidence. So for me, Bitcoin is interesting to get into, and it will be something that we're looking to get into very soon, considering we had that very, very strong bullish hammer candle. But we also are creating, you know, an area of support. We're getting lower and lower and lower, which of course is actually characteristics of a descending triangle, which is when something is if price is coming lower down and we're smacking off the same level every single time, but struggling to push away further every time, that gives us good indication that this level may actually break. But of course, with Bitcoin being so popular and with the surge that happened, and now that we are finally having this big dip from that big push up, I do anticipate a lot of people will be looking to get back into this. I do anticipate that the buyers will prevail, especially with little signs like this. But again, it is a little bit risky, and you have to really be patient right now. I'm being patient. I could be getting in right now, but I want to make sure that there are enough telltale signs that if I do put this money in, we have a really good chance at least going back up to that 60000 handle where we were originally, and then we could take it from there. So that's been the weekly watch list so far. It's all the pairs that we're looking to trade this week. It's all the ones we're in, and it's all the ones we're ready to enter. Any questions, shoot us a message, shoot us a DM. We're extremely responsive, and we make sure that we give you all the information you need to trade safely and profitably. So until we see you, probably it'll be the market recap on Wednesday. We really do hope everybody has a great trading week. We hope it's profitable, and we hope that you are able to take videos like this, develop your own understanding, and develop your own risk management strategies, and develop your own outlook on the market. It's brilliant watching videos like this, getting good knowledge, but you will seriously get really good at trading once you take all the knowledge that you're learning from other people and other companies and use it for yourself and put your own spin and your own twist in it, bearing in mind that you're testing it and you're not doing anything silly that's going to blow your account, you will 100% be successful in Forex. So without any further ado, we'll see you in the next video, which will be the market recap, and we hope you have a great weekend. So speak soon.